I want to thank you guys for joining me tonight. Another episode of Super Podshots is about to begin. There's been a lot happening lately for both Tick as well as the Inner Circle Gaming Network website. There's been a lot of buzz with Microsoft and Pokemon Go and Sony. There's been a lot of news happening lately. I'm going to try to talk about some of those things and address a few of those things and see how everything turns out this evening. Recent news dropped today that I want to talk about as well with Gamescom. And I'm a bit disappointed in that situation, and I'll address that as well. Just give me half a second before we begin today's show. And I would rather be nowhere else but here with you guys this evening on this nice, hot, rainy Wednesday in Central Florida. Man, I kind of miss New York every once in a while. Okay. So here we go. Hey, Explanation now rocking with your boy KORX Kal-El, the last son of Planet Xbox, and you're listening to Super Podshots. So, last week I said some things about Microsoft. A lot of people did not like it. I understand why a lot of people don't like it. People don't like when you talk bad about Microsoft, especially being an Xbox podcaster. But listen, I'm just trying to give you guys the reality of the things that Microsoft has to understand and deal with. I'm not saying that Microsoft does not put out the correct information. What I'm saying is that there's a lot of sources that put out different information, and it can confuse people. And then to top it all off, you have them then turn around to either rebut or correct things. And honestly, when you look at what happened with the Xbox One at launch, you have people, and it's a shame, but you still have people to this day that believe that the Xbox One cannot play used games. You can go into Best Buy, you can go into GameStop, you can pick up a used game. It's a wall full of used games that you can play on the Xbox One, and people to this day still believe that the Kinect is spying on you and that you cannot play used games. And it's because you have to understand that as hardcore gamers, we get the message. We understand the message. I'm not talking about the hardcore gamer. I'm talking about the majority of people who are out there that are the casuals that buy these consoles, for their children. And if they're getting the wrong message from someone who works at Best Buy or GameStop, or any other retailer, and this retailer isn't up to date on his information because, what was announced was at a major event. Think about that. This is an international event. This is international news. So then if you then turn around and you may change that statement, it's no longer on the international level. It's not. It's on a particular either news website or it's in a tweet. That's hard to spread around to millions and millions of people and let them know you've updated these things or you want to clarify some things. So people get the first message and they stick with the first message. And that's why I keep saying it's important that Microsoft makes sure that whatever they put out in the future, it's not a confusing message. You get it right the first time and you limit the number of people that are reporting the message. And I don't mind Microsoft talking to the fans. I don't mind Microsoft having all of their people being transparent and talking to the media as long as they understand that they're all on the same page. That's what's important. And I think people aren't grasping that. People are quick to defend, but not understand the reality of things. You're defending the world that you're in, the Twitterverse, in the hardcore Xbox community, but not understanding that the regular world, the rest of the world, may not get that message. And when you're on a global scale and you have an event like that that's televised, and you have an event like that where all the places in the world are reporting this particular news all at once, it's super important to get the message right the first time. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. So if you want to kill me for that, that's fine. I have no problem with that. But I won't sit up here and, try to be something that I'm not. I'm not going to kiss Microsoft's butt. If I feel like they've done something that may be wrong or confusing or could be done better, I'm going to address it. And I think, be honest with you, that's an honest opinion of my own. You can differ from that opinion. You don't have to like what I'm saying. I'm just giving you my actual truth of what I believe. And if you agree with that or disagree with that, that's the point of the show. The point of the show is not for you to agree with everything. The point of the show is for you to understand my point and kind of picture what I'm talking about and get what I'm saying. So that way you either agree with it and you respect that opinion, or you don't agree with it and you don't respect the opinion. But at the end of the day, I would hope that you people still respect me as an individual person and as a podcaster and as someone that represents the Xbox brand and continues to go out and bust his ass for you guys out there that listen to Tick podcasts as well as Super Podshots. And I thank you for that, regardless if you like me or dislike me. At the end of the day, I love you all. Hopefully Microsoft continues to get things right. I think they're on the right path, but they need to make sure that any future things that they announce is clear and precise and stuff like that. And I'm not asking for Microsoft to give an apology. I've never said that either. Not once have I ever said Microsoft should apologize. What I said was Microsoft should make sure that whatever message they put out is clear and precise. So that way they don't have to constantly keep repeating themselves, because the media can be idiots. And people can, create what they want to create based off what they've heard, bits and pieces. And that's how you get a lot of things like that. So it's not just Microsoft's fault. It is partially the media's fault as well. That's without question. I can't just put the 100% blame on Microsoft. But at the same time, the clearer they are, the easier it is for the media to then turn around and make better statements or clearer statements and be called out on it if they don't. Now, moving on to today's content, Microsoft recently came out and announced that they will not be going to Gamescom. This is blasphemy, goddammit. I can't deal with this. I just can't. I needed something new from Microsoft. I needed it, and they're not delivering it. They're not delivering. And I'm actually highly upset about this right now. I really am. You don't understand how upset I am about this. Now, you can sit up there and say, yes, maybe Microsoft, they have some things, but they're not ready to show it off. That says a lot to me. That tells me a lot of things. And what that tells me is that Microsoft, even if they have something, they've decided to make sure that they put all of their resources down from here on out into Scorpio. This is what they're doing. And I absolutely believe whatever they would have shown will now be a launch title for Scorpio. Not going to Gamescom. I don't even be honest with you, I don't even know the last time Microsoft missed a Gamescom event. Even if they showed content that they showed at E3, they didn't miss an event. So I know a lot of people's like, well, Sony's not. I don't give a damn what Sony's doing. Here, let me explain something to some people out there, okay? When you talk to me in the chat, don't bring up Sony. Don't bring up Nintendo. I don't give a damn what Sony or Nintendo is doing. That is them. I represent Xbox. My concern is what Microsoft is doing and what direction they're going. So if you're going to talk to me about Xbox, talk to me about Xbox. At the end of the day, Microsoft's not going to this event. And for me, that says something, because I felt like at E3, the show was great. They presented games that we get to play, but nothing blew me away except for the console announcements which actually were amazing, and the games that I played at E3 once I got my hands on them, like Forza and Recore and Gears, and seeing Gears behind the scenes and getting that behind the scene information on Xbox Scorpio and things like that. So, I'm not trying to sit up here and say that Microsoft didn't have a great conference. I'm saying that nothing blew me away. Nothing surprised me because a lot of things were already leaked. So for me, Gamescom, because this is something that they did the previous year and the previous year before that, was the event where they show the future. It also was an event where they got a chance to appeal to the European fan base. So now you have no event at Gamescom. And with no event at Gamescom, all you show and all you basically are going to be doing is be on the showroom floor and presenting the same exact games that you showed more than likely at E3. Now, my understanding is that they may have some sort of fan fest event where, gamers will come in and they'll get some select behind the scenes stuff, more than likely things I've probably already seen or things that guys at FanFest E3 have already seen. I actually had an opportunity to go to Germany and be at Gamescom, I was very surprised. And as someone who has never, ever left the United States of America besides going on my honeymoon to the Caribbean, I thought there was an amazing opportunity to go. But fortunately, because I will not say unfortunately, my wife is 7 months pregnant and I cannot leave her. So I will not be going to Gamescom. I just can't do that. I already left her to go to California for E3, so I won't be doing that. But maybe next year we'll do something. But it's disappointing to know that they won't be there. Now, I'm not saying that Microsoft isn't doing the right thing. I'm not saying they're not doing the right thing. You can't go into an event and show off games that aren't ready. You can't do that. You can't go into an event and talk about a game and then just show a title screen. You can't do that. That's embarrassing in a way. But Sony, they're not going to be at Gamescom. I don't know what Nintendo's going to do. I know that Sony will be at Paris Games Week and Sony has Tokyo Game Show. I don't know if Microsoft has an event later in the year. Usually they have the Windows Xbox 10 event in the beginning of 2017, as well as GDC, where they show off tech and things like that. And maybe if we're lucky, we may see some new tech demo of like Gears of War, not Gears of War, I'm sorry, like Crackdown. This year they had Conquer and the HoloLens thing. The year before that, they had Crackdown and stuff like that. So, I just think that people need to understand, as well as myself, that whatever they're trying to present is not ready. Now, I've been told that Rare is the new IP factory. They've got a lot of stuff that they're working on. Clearly, they're not ready to present it. It's probably in very early development because the whole team is working on Sea of Thieves. The whole team is working on Sea of Thieves. And more than likely, those two games are just being laid out as groundwork. So when that game releases in 2017, they can immediately split teams and start working on these other two projects, whatever they may be. At the same time, it really just feels like, okay, for 2016, this is what we got. Microsoft does not have anything new. And it's not to say that they won't have anything new, but we haven't been blown away by anything. And, until we see something else, I'm not sure Microsoft is going to really, put themselves in the position where they put something out and it's an embarrassment to them. But I feel like they might have shown something at E3 had it not been for the announcement at Scorpio, because these games are supposed to release on the Xbox One originally. And now with Scorpio in the picture, as well as the Xbox One S, you now have to make versions for those titles. And I'm saying to myself, if Rare was to come out with a Banjo, let's just say Rare's working on Banjo and they had an early first stage of Banjo and could have shown it off at Gamescom, just the Xbox One version, fans would have went crazy. Fans would have went nuts. It would have been absolutely amazing. And nobody would have batted an eye. It would have blown the doors off Gamescom. But at the same time, now we're talking about them not showing it and possibly pushing that to the Scorpio. Now we're talking about 6 teraflops of power on, the newest or most up-to-date GPU, CPU in the console at launch, and actually present a game using that power. But my question is, how much power are you going to put into Banjo? You know what I'm saying? Are you going to make him look like a real bear? It's it's not to say that the game won't look absolutely amazing, but let's think about the artistic quality of what a Banjo or a Rare game would look like. Are you going to push the teraflops to the point that the characters look super authentic and realistic and the fur looks real and things like that? And at some point, you're still going to get that same title on the Xbox One and the Xbox One S. So why not show that game at Gamescom and show us the Scorpio version at a later date so we can do comparisons? That's what you really want to do, because obviously you're going to want people to convert to the Scorpio. Now, Microsoft has been talking about working with retailers for trade-ins towards Scorpio, and they really want people to upgrade. They really do. And that says a lot to me, because that I believe now Microsoft even understands that the price range probably purchasing the console is going to be a bit high, maybe a little bit unusual. As I said before, I don't think Scorpio will launch at $500. $500, honestly, if they can get Scorpio at $500 with what they actually want to do with that console, I would be absolutely floored and happy as hell to get that. I don't even think a PC gamer could build a PC at $500 with what they're trying to do tech-wise within the Scorpio. I'm not saying 6 teraflops is a lot, but the rumors of the latest GPU and the CPU and a higher bandwidth than the 320 that they already had announced at E3 and things like that. So there's a lot of factors that go into what Microsoft is trying to do in regard to this console. So having it come out at 500, all the accessories is backwards compatible. I'm pretty sure that Connect will also be backwards compatible. They have an adapter for the S. I don't understand why they would not have an adapter for the Scorpio. Some people suspect that they'll work on the Connect 3. I just don't see it happening. I just don't. I don't see Microsoft investing money into Connect again. At least not in the way that they have been doing. In both instances, when Connect launched, it was an absolute success. That is one thing no one can deny. It's the highest and fastest selling peripheral, ever launched. 25 million Connects sold on the Xbox 360 before a completely drop off because the game content was, horrendous. Minus some of the stuff that came from Rare to Connect sports games and a few other things. The best thing about Connect back then was obviously better with Connect. And I thought better with Connect was really, really cool. I used to play Mass Effect and call out my things and stuff like that. Or you play Skyrim and you might do a shout and actually have the shout come out, which was really cool. The one thing I always give Connect was that it always had an amazing feature set. The camera worked really, really well. And the voice recognition worked really well when it came to the games. It may not have worked really well when it came to navigation all the time or responding to certain things, but it did work really well. And this Connect actually improved upon it and is getting better with time as they constantly upgrade it. And even with Cortana, it's starting to pick up and get a little bit better with each update. And that's a great thing. That's a great thing in itself. I just don't see Microsoft investing millions in it. One of those type of things. Just like Microsoft is not planning to invest millions into VR. I think this was a smart idea for them to work with HTC and work with oh my God, work with Rift. Thank you. I don't know. It's stuck in my head. I kept seeing the logo, but I couldn't get it out. Working with Oculus and working on Rift and bringing that to them and allowing the Xbox really not to be locked into one VR device and allow you to purchase whatever the device you want and have it be compatible. And that's all a credit to Windows 10, and that's great. That's absolutely great, and I'm happy for that. I think that what Microsoft really needs to do is try to focus on bringing not only new IPs with Scorpio, and obviously that's going to be for the Xbox One and the Xbox One S, but I truly hope that the focus is around the actual games themselves with the newer hardware. Just like you would do with PC, just like you would do if PlayStation, being the lead platform for third parties, the Xbox Scorpio needs to be the lead platform for Microsoft games, and they need to develop around it. And there should be no compromises in what they do. And if they port the games down to the Xbox One and the Xbox One version is unfortunately the inferior version, that's just the reality of it. That's just the reality of it. Now, frame rate wise, we all understand that, when it comes to competitive multiplayer, the frame rates are supposed to be the same, especially for shooters. I think that when it comes to single player campaigns, they should go balls to the wall, man. I don't see why it should be, if I pay X amount of dollars for a Scorpio and, and I have the Xbox and I have the Scorpio, I don't understand why those two games need to be exactly the same, minus textures, lighting, little things like that, the technical features and stuff like that. I think that the frame should be higher, the res should be higher, and I think that's what they plan to do. Obviously, with the resolution, would it be in 4K? But I'm really hoping that the frames would be higher as well, and that's super important for Microsoft. Super important that they don't compromise when they release games on the Scorpio at all. So this whole Gamescom thing has kind of put a damper on August. I was really looking forward to August and seeing what Microsoft had to show off after talking to a few guys. Microsoft never makes a decision without honestly thinking about the consequences of those actions in a way. Clearly they had different leadership under Don Matrick and Ballmer. This new leadership is completely different. So I think they're taking a different approach in what they're doing. They've already cut a lot of stuff. Whether it was games, whether it was studios, they completely, it looks like, just abandoned Connect with the S. The S doesn't even have a Connect port in the back. You purchase the console, you call Microsoft up, you let them know you still have a Connect. They send you an adapter for free, but you lose a USB port. Who wants to do, damn near every USB port on my console is full. I have a USB port for the TV, a USB port taken up for the external hard drive, a USB port taken up for my Turtle Beach Elite 800s, the wireless ones. It's like, where am I going to put the Connect? What am I going to take out? There's a port on the side, obviously, but who wants to plug Connect on? Who wants that thing sticking out the side of their Xbox? It's just weird to me. That they've completely abandoned Connect, and yet these peripherals are backwards compatible. So I hope that if for people who have Connect, I hope they make a Connect port on the Scorpio. So that way people who have Connect and they enjoy Connect and they enjoy the features of talking without using the controller, they're able to continue to contribute and use the device that they have and stuff like that. Because my wife, she loves to play Dance Central. And that's another reason why I stick with the Connect, because it's like very few games that she's into, but she likes to play Dance Central, and that's really cool and stuff like that. So, we'll see what happens when we get there next year, 2017. But Gamescom 2016 is a wash. Both Microsoft and Sony will not be there. It looks like they've presented their games for the year. And obviously, I think Sony will talk about VR, talk about the Neo between Paris and Tokyo Game Show. I just don't know if they're going to announce something new that's going to release this year. I don't know if those events are big enough to do that. And it's not to say that Sony doing that wouldn't make headlines, wouldn't make news, but I think that if you're going to announce something that's releasing this year that's big, you do it at E3. And whatever I think they had to do, they did. So I don't see them releasing anything other than talking more about VR and the release date at Neo and the specs and things like that. And that's going to be great for them. Nintendo has skyrocketed with this Pokemon Go crap, man. My wife just cracked on me. She's like, what are you doing? Why do you keep walking around the house? I'm like, playing Pokemon Go. She's like, how old are you? Like, are you serious? And I'm like, listen, don't hate. Don't hate. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't hate, because I found Charmander behind the TV and you stuck on your Windows phone because I crossed over to a Galaxy S7 and I'm able to play those games. Unfortunately, Windows Phone users don't have that game just yet. But I find it funny. That everyone's playing Pokemon Go. And some of the things that has happened Nintendo off of this one little app just goes to show you how many people love Nintendo games. And honestly, Nintendo should probably go full third party. Like, I'm so behind this whole third party thing. If any company should go third party, it's definitely Nintendo. Nintendo has the franchises for it. Pokemon Go hitting this app, these phone apps, has exploded. And be honest with you, it's really not even that special. Like, keep it real. I literally was outside of my house, but I had a Pokemon across the street on my GPS within range, and I clicked it, and it popped right up in my living room. And it's cool. It's cool that they have this little AR feature and stuff like that. Whatever. But at the end of the day, this thing has skyrocketed Nintendo stock like almost up 1,000%. The searches for Pokemon porn has shot up 320 something percent. Pokemon porn. This is insane. There's some weird people out there. Really weird people. Man, but it's amazing what one little app can do for a company. And that's because a lot of fans grew up on Pokemon. Pokemon came out when I was a teenager. I didn't grow up on it as a kid. I was never a 100% hugely big fan of Pokemon, but I did watch it, and I thought it was cool, man. I thought it was really interesting. I didn't watch Yu-Gi-Oh though. Yu-Gi-Oh, I wasn't a Yu-Gi-Oh fan. I'm sorry, Yu-Gi-Oh fans. I'm sorry, I can't do it. This card stuff is for the birds. What happened to real heroes like G.I. Joe and He-Man and Thundercats, Voltron, Transformers, and Ninja Turtles? Awesome characters, Silverhawks. I can go on and on. 80s cartoons were the best cartoons in the world. Okay, let's keep it real. We all know where Power Rangers came from. Okay, we all know where Power Rangers came from. And to this day, Voltron is still better than Power Rangers. Voltron would kick a Megazord's ass. I'm sorry. That's just a fact. So don't get it twisted. But at the end of the day, Pokemon Go has been big for them. I played it. It's cool. I'm going to give my opinion on it. I think that it's cool. I don't think it's something I can do every day. Like, I'm not walking, 15 miles to pick up Pokemon. I have a friend who literally was driving on the highway and stopped to pick up a Pikachu on the highway. Bro, is this insane? Is it really that serious? This is insane. So, I can't really deal with the whole craziness of I can't really deal with the whole craziness of Pokemon Go and getting out. No, don't get me wrong, it's amazing. I'll tell you right now, this thing has done more for fat children and people around the world who don't get out the house than anything, exercise-wise. Anything that the Biggest Loser has done, anything that Michelle Obama has attempted, it's done wonders for people getting out the house, and that's really great. Nintendo is really, when it comes to Nintendo exercise stuff, they are geniuses at what they do. Remember that Wii Fit? That thing sold like 100 million copies or something like that. It was insane. It was insane or something like that. I don't remember what it was, but it was an insane amount that was sold for Wii Fit. They are really good when it comes to like really getting people active and everything like that. Nintendo is known for that, man. So it was really smart of them to do that, but it's just not my cup of tea. It's something I would play if I was bored. It's not something I would play regularly and stuff as I discover more and more games on my Galaxy S7. So moving forward, Crackdown has been delayed to 2017. Obviously, we all know that. I believe Crackdown will be a launch title for Scorpio. Absolutely a launch title for Scorpio. I don't see how it could be anything else. It's disappointing to know that people will look at Microsoft claims of the cloud as either a lie or a farce. And it's not to say that they can't use cloud on Scorpio and then on Xbox as well when they drop the games for both consoles. But the fact that more than likely that will be a launch title, that game will be pushed to be a launch title for Scorpio says a lot. It really does says a lot. And it is disappointing to know that we're not going to be able to play a beta this summer of it. And, it's not really we're not going to really get any news on it until next year. It says something. I was expecting Crackdown to be shown at Gamescom. Microsoft, it's not ready. It's not ready. It is not ready. And you go back to all the people who was like, well, it's just a tech demo. Let's see what it does in the real world. Let's see how it really works. And all the Xbox fans is like, the cloud is real. Look what it's doing and the destruction, including myself. And to this day, I still think that is viable. I still think that it works. But clearly, they are hitting a snag somewhere where they are not able to put out any type of beta, any type of thing for us to play and get our hands on to get a feel for the game. The game's not ready. So it's going to take another year to get the game ready. But I think by the time that comes out, Halo's not dropping next year. Gears drops this year. Fable's been cut and put on the shelf until they can find somebody new, which I think Rare will be probably making a new Fable. I think that's probably the best studio to take it over. And they already hired some people from the Fable team as well. This game was probably going to be a launch title for Scorpio. And more than likely is the best place for it to go. I just don't see where else they would launch it. You're talking about Scorpio coming out holiday 2017. You have Forza 7, Crackdown. Early on next year, Microsoft has an amazing early lineup. They've done something finally where they're starting to push some AAAs out early on. So we don't know what's happening holiday next year. Early on, you get Halo Wars. You possibly get Sea of Thieves, Scalebound. Those are 3 major titles coming out of Microsoft's camp. 3 titles that we've been clamoring for a very long time. And we get all of those games early, and that's awesome. And I'm excited about that because we get all these cool games now in the fall. I'm not going to be able to beat Gears and Recore and Forza Horizon 7 and Dead Rising within a 3-month, 4-month span. I like to take time with my games. You got the podcast. I got the websites. A lot of things happening. I got to take my time with these games, and I enjoy them. I have a daughter coming in September. It makes my schedule even hectic. It's very haywire. So I'm going to enjoy those games. And then you mean to tell me next year, 2017 comes around, I get to play Sea of Thieves, Halo Wars 2. Well, I'll probably pass on Halo Wars 2. You guys know I'm not in the RTSs. But Scalebound, my most anticipated, finally comes out. And I'm super hyped and excited about that game, and I can't wait to get my hands on it. And it's just weird that Microsoft, they have everything locked for the holiday and the first to second quarter of 2017. We don't know anything about the end of 2017, which means that the end of 2017's E3 is about to be the most amazing E3 in the history of E3s for Microsoft. God forbid anybody leaks anything. And I feel like that was done on purpose because barely anything from Sony leaked. I don't understand how Microsoft, all of their stuff leaked. Nothing from Sony leaked. Like, Microsoft really needs to have somebody internal that is hunting down spies within their camp, or making sure that they keep absolutely every single person out that is not related to Microsoft out of their rehearsal strategies, because somehow, some way, that information is leaking and it ruins E3s, ruins them. What's crazy was that I was expecting at Gamescom, we had reported that a Battletoads game had leaked, that the actual icon in the game itself had appeared on the Xbox. Now, that would have been a great game to talk about at Gamescom. Game's probably not ready. It would be weird for them to just come out and say, okay, you can play Battletoads now. That would be absolutely weird. So obviously that game is not ready. And whenever they announce that game, maybe it'd be Paris Games Week. If they go, could be Tokyo. Well, they're not going to Tokyo Game Show. So the only event they have coming up is Paris Games Week, if they go to Paris Games Week and want to present something. But currently, it sounds like they're not presenting anything until next year, which is either at GDC or the Xbox One 10 event, which they may not even televise again. And then we have E3, which means we have to wait another, 4 months before we're able to get back to E3 2017. There's a lot. But I can tell you right now that E3 will absolutely be amazing because you will see nothing but new stuff. I mean, clearly you'll see some sequels. I'm sure you'll see Forza 7. You might see some other things. I heard there's a new Ori and the Blind Forest and stuff like that. They may announce that at next year's E3, or maybe they announce it this year. I'm not sure. I don't know what they're planning on doing. But if they do that, Battletoads, a few other titles, Crackdown, and then whatever new they have in their sleeve. Maybe they do Fable. Maybe they show Banjo. Maybe they do Perfect Dark. I think everybody wants Perfect Dark. If they do any of those things, they have an amazing lineup. They have an amazing lineup. It's an amazing lineup of games that have been rebooted, sequels, and then if they present any new IPs that we all always want, we will be excited for, and that would be in a great lineup. So right now for Scorpio, we just have a bunch of, speculative unknown games that goes for both Scorpio and for both Xbox One and Xbox One S as those games scale and work across all platforms. And the only thing I could think Scorpio currently that will be exclusive to that platform is anything VR. Whether it's VR for HTC, whether it's VR for Oculus Rift, that will probably be the exclusive titles you would get and everything like that. So Microsoft has a lot on their plate. They have a lot to do, a lot to work on. I'm praying that they are working on new games and locking up new stuff. I know Phil's really good at doing that. He has great relationships within the gaming industry. He's well respected and things. And with the announcement of Scorpio, Microsoft has the potential to take back some ground from Sony being the lead platform, at least for 2 years before Sony comes out with possibly PlayStation 5. I don't think Sony comes out with PlayStation 5 in 2017. Drop Neo. And first of all, the idea of dropping a PlayStation Slim in 2016, then turning around with the Neo in 2016, then 2017 dropping the PlayStation 5 is insane. That's absolutely insane. And I don't think PlayStation fans would like that at all. I'll be honest with you, that would be a detriment to whatever it is they're trying to do. So I would think that at least a 2019 release for PS5 would make sense. We give Neo at least 2 years of life. The Slim would get 2 years of life. And, it would work for them. And if you're saying, well, Microsoft is dropping the Xbox One S, the Xbox One S is not an upgrade over the Xbox One. It's an upgrade in a sense that it can scale to 4K. It's an upgrade in the sense that it has HDR support, but their power is the same. What you get with the Xbox One is what you get with the Xbox One Slim. The only difference is the games are going to look better due to the color vibrancy of HDR and the res upscale with 4K. And that's where the significant difference is going to be. But everything else is going to be the same. Scorpio, on the other hand, is a completely different story. So, for me, if you drop a Slim console that's similar to PlayStation 4, and then the Neo, which is an upgrade, and then turn around and drop a PlayStation 5, I don't see how that works. I think the fans would be upset, and then you would be killing your own Neo console in a way as well, because I think everybody would rather just wait for the PlayStation 5. Maybe like some people say they will wait for the Scorpio, though I think that the Xbox One S currently still has a viable place in being sold because it will be the cheapest 4K Blu-ray player out there, and anybody who has a 4K TV will be able to hop on that and get their games at better picture quality, not better textures, not better frames, but better picture quality. And I'll tell you to this day, man, that gear is that Gears at E3 on that HDR was insane. It looked incredible. So, you know, it's been crazy, man. It's been a crazy month. You know, I want to take some time out of my show to be a little bit serious for a second. I don't talk politics. I don't talk about anything related to race. I keep it gaming 100%. I feel like for us and for tech, that it's not the platform for it. It is not to say that it's not important, but it's not the platform for it, because I only want to talk about games. I only want to be positive, and I only want the fans to always be positive and enjoy what we pump out and not to take things seriously. I want this to be a place where people come to listen, to get away from that nonsense. But there's been a lot of death over the last week. And I want to take some time out to acknowledge the people that lost their lives. And, you know, my heart goes out to those families. And it's just senseless in what's happening to us as a people. And I really want you guys out there to understand that, you know, we got to let this hate go. Sorry about that. You know, I have a lot of friends that are diverse culturally. And it's really sad what's happening to this country. So, you know, I hope that we can get over this. I really do. And, you know, the people who lost their lives, they didn't deserve it. And the people who did it, I hope that, you know, there are consequences to those actions. And, you know, they are punished to the 10th degree, to the hardest degree possible. You know, so many great people that I met through Xbox, and so many people on my staff. So that are very culturally diverse, white, black, Latin, Arabic, South African, so many fans from different countries. And you know, I respect everybody that comes to the show and listens to Tick and listen to me. It was a very depressing week. And my heart goes out to those people. So, moving on. You know, Microsoft, hopefully they continue to do what, you know, we want them to do, and they continue to rise, and everybody is happy with what Microsoft is doing, what Microsoft is producing game-wise. I would love to see Nintendo go into a third-party state. I'm excited for the NX. I can't wait to see what it looks like. But I would love for Nintendo to go into a third-party state. And hopefully, if they do that, they would be able to, you know, bring some of those games to Xbox. You know, there's rumors of a Game Boy Advance emulator hitting the Xbox One. And a lot of people are like, what? This is crazy. Nintendo's not going to let Game Boy Advance be on Xbox One. And I just think that emulators aren't illegal. but licensing is. And it would be amazing if Microsoft worked out a deal with Nintendo to license Game Boy Advance games on the Xbox One. That would change the game big time. That says a lot. Do you understand the repercussions of that if that was to happen with this whole Windows 10 thing? Because the Game Boy Advance emulator is already on the Windows Phone. It's already in the Windows Store. So imagine being able to purchase games like Golden Sun, which is one of my favorite Game Boy Advance games of all time. You know, getting Golden Sun on my Xbox and playing that franchise would be amazing. And then you could then turn around and look at what maybe they can do with Dreamcast. As even though that console may be dead, Microsoft has such a great relationship with Sega. Or at least they had one, and if they could rebuild on that relationship, they could then turn around and get Sega Dreamcast emulation on the Xbox One. And that would make me so happy and so ecstatic. And I know people are like, you want to play old games? You know, buy the old system, whatever. You know how people talk. But man, Skies of Arcadia, Grandia, I can go on and on about some of the games that came out on the Dreamcast that just was absolutely amazing to this day, and it's something I can easily pick up and play all over again. God, I wish they would make another Skies of Arcadia. Sky Pirates, bro. Sky Pirates. Amazing. Why that game hasn't had a sequel, I don't know. I don't know if it's sold well on Dreamcast or not, but it was absolutely amazing, and I love Grandia 2. Grandia 2 was like the first game that showed me the time bar in combination with turn-based, where it was like you and the enemy would be on a bar, and if you were able to capture the enemy at the same time he entered the bar, you could knock him back and reset his time. Great game. Great story. Loved it. I know it's on Steam. I'm not a Steam player. I have a Steam account, though, but I haven't purchased anything on it yet. I just don't want to invest time into it and not be on my laptop or not be on a PC. I'm just constantly on my Xbox and constantly doing tech things and regular things in life. So, I think it would be really great if they were able to bring those things to Xbox, because then I wouldn't have to worry about playing those old school games on Steam or on a PC. I could just pick up my controller and play in the environment that I really enjoy and stuff like that. So that's it, man. It's been a very slow week news-wise. It's been pretty dead. We're all waiting for these games to drop. I was looking forward to Gamescom, but now that Gamescom isn't showing up, it's kind of disappointing that it's not. And I'm hoping that Microsoft is able to show us something, some type of event where maybe they don't go to Gamescom, but maybe they have like a small presser, or they have a small interview where they announce something with IGN or something like that. I don't really think they do anything with GameSpot. There's always IGN with Microsoft, which is like a monopoly, kind of like bogus. You need to do some stuff with Tick. You know what I'm saying? We need to get Phil on the show and be like, Phil, announce a game on Tick Podcast. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to be working my ass off to make that happen. I think that'd be really cool and everything like that. So, I want to keep it short. I'm going to keep it sweet this week. I just want to, be everywhere where, I lost my thought. I was going so fast. I'm talking too fast. I just hope that I'll be back next week on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Tick Podcast is going to be Friday. Anchorman B will not be able to make it. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to try and get B Money on, because B Money works really late. I like doing the shows early because we get so many people in here to chat, so many people engaged compared to doing it at 11 p.m. where everybody sleep. I also am able to get the people from the European side who listen to us to come on over and things like that. So I will be looking for guests to come on the show, more than likely, if guys aren't available and things like that. I would probably like to go to pre-recording because it's just so much easier to do, but I just really enjoy the engagement we get from you guys when we do these shows live. I also want to apologize to the MP3 crowd. I am behind again. I have not pumped out any shows for the MP3 crowd since E3, and I haven't been able to post up the Tick experience either for a number of reasons. And that's just mainly because I've just been very busy and overwhelmed with a lot of things lately. So hopefully I'm able to get this stuff done, get on track, get things in order, and pump this content out to you guys, because I think it would be really cool for you guys to see some of the things that we did at E3 and some of the things that we saw. I had a great interview with Craig Duncan, good chat with Kinji Ifune. And it really wasn't a chat. It was more like a, hey, how you doing? And a small question. But it was cool enough to see him, shake his hand, and have a conversation with him, and just really a walk around E3, give you guys an idea what E3 looked like this year and see some cool things here and there, game-wise and stuff like that. And we'll see how it all plays out. So that's it. Once again, I'm your host, KLYXKLL, the last son on the planet Xbox, and I'm off this planet. Peace. All right, now I got that out the way. We are here for Super Podshot after party. I will answer a few questions before I head out. Also, if you're in here right now, we have 11 likes. I usually don't ask people for likes, but I would love if the team and the people out there that support us would give us likes, man. I would love that because we need to spread tick all over the place and infect as many people as possible and start, bringing in more subscribers and things like that. So that way the tick voice can be louder and be heard and not be overshadowed by some of the nonsense that goes out into the world of media and Twitter and things like that. So really be grateful for the tweets. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section. I will do my best to answer them. If not, we will end the show within 5 minutes if I don't have a question by 8:17. King Hydra asks, do you think Xbox is working on a story-focused action adventure game because I think they need one? I would love for Perfect Dark to be that action adventure game. I think Microsoft is scared of doing that because of Quantum Break. Tomb Raider, as well, was another game that had a single-player action adventure experience and didn't start out the gate well. So that's kind of like two strikes against this type of thing. Microsoft understands their user base. Their user base is action-orientated, multiplayer-focused, online-focused, and social. The PlayStation's user base normally is, RPG-focused as well as single-player experience, not too big on multiplayer. Obviously, this generation that has changed with the adaptation, with them getting Call of Duty and having a bigger install base in comparison to Xbox. But normally, Microsoft is known for being the best multiplayer environment between the three consoles. So for them to then turn around and try to focus on another single-player experience, ReCore is that single-player experience that's coming out. Graphically, it's not going to live up to what people want it to. I can tell you that right now. It's not. But the voice acting is really good, and the gameplay is really solid. I think what's really going to capture people is how they portray the world, the overworld, and how they portray the story. I spoke with Joe Staten about it. You guys seen the interview with Joe Staten on here with Ackerman V. And they had a team. He has a team of like 4 writers, and they worked on that story. So if you know Joe Staten wrote the story, it's going to be really, really good. Joe Staten didn't write the story for Halo 5. He came late as a consultant. And he's working on Scalebound, he's working on ReCore, and he worked on a little bit on Quantum Break as well, even though Quantum Break had their own team already working on it. But ReCore is an Xbox game. So we can expect Joe Staten and his squad working on that story, and that story should be really good because if you love Halo novels, you love Joe Staten's work. And that's just the reality of it. And that's a great pickup, and it's good to know that Microsoft has him on their team and that, they have an opportunity to present a really cool game at a cheap price. And I can tell you this before, buy this game. The problem that we have now is that Xbox gamers aren't buying games. They're buying games, but they're buying them late. They're buying them cheap, and the sales pick up, but the sales pick up later. They're not picking up at initial launch. So it's really important that a game like ReCore succeeds because these new IPs have not been doing very well. They have not. Let's just be honest here. Sunset Overdrive was a new IP, did not do very well out the gate, eventually broke 1 million. Tomb Raider even though that's not a new IP, was an exclusive adventure game, didn't do well out the gate. Eventually, it broke 1 million by the end of December, which was great. And that was good to know. Right now, that they're hovering around 1.5, 1. Maybe 2, 1.7 million for just for the Xbox alone. And then you turn around, you have Quantum Break, which did not do well at all. Quantum Break did not do well at all. Quantum Break, I think to this day, may not have even broken a million in sales. And that's highly disappointing for a game that we've all been clamoring for years. And it could be the fact that people are turned off by the 20-minute story, live action story. It could be the fact that people feel like there's no cover system in a game that uses cover. But that's just the simple fact that people don't understand how to play the game. So it's really, maybe it's a possibility Microsoft may be turned away, and we'll continue to keep getting, we'll continue to keep getting these action, games with big guns and explosions and racing games and fight. Like, I really want Microsoft to continue to I really want Microsoft to continue to diversify their lineup and not be discouraged by this. But it's hard not to be discouraged when the fans aren't doing what they did with 360. And I really hope that Scalebound is successful. I hope that Recore is successful. And I really hope that, every game they launch from here on out is picked up and is very successful. There's a rumor that Final Fantasy 13 is coming to Xbox One via BC. Now, I hated Final Fantasy 13. I'm going to tell you that straight up. I hated the battle system. And I shouldn't say this. I really shouldn't say this. But I don't like to play with female protagonists. I know this sounds weird, and I'm not a sexist at all. So please don't kill me, ladies, if you're listening to the show. It's just my preference, man. I don't play with female characters. I just don't. I think the only characters that I can deal with is Lara Croft, because, she's a legend. I've been dealing with her since I was a kid. And Metroid, because she has a suit on. Oh, not Metroid. Samus, because she has a suit on, and I can't tell what she is anyway. So for me, when it came to Lightning, I used Snow as the character and stuff like that. I didn't even pick up Final Fantasy X10. What is it called? X2. I love Final Fantasy X. They came out with X2, and I saw how you battled. Dude, I felt like I was playing with dolls. I'm changing their clothes regularly. I'm not doing that. I'm a grown man. I'm not doing that. So, I didn't do it. I can't do it. But Recore looks really dope. I have to admit it. It's changing my mind about my approach on it. Getting a chance to play it at E3 was really fun, and I look forward to it. That was a very long-winded answer. Sorry about that. Hulk Smash, what's up, Cal? Anywhere on the other Xbox One S models release dates? Hey, Hulk, what's going on, brother? Listen, the Hulk's, the other release dates, my understanding is that they're coming out in December. That they're only going to release the 2 terabytes in August, and then the 500 gig and the 1 terabyte will release later in the year. I don't know why they're doing this. I really don't. I don't understand. Clearly, they're doing it to capitalize financially, because that's an additional $400. And if you think about it, it could be something where they're recouping money that they lost with the Xbox One at launch by cutting the price and putting out all these deals for Black Friday. The demand for the Slim is really, really high in comparison to the demand for the original Xbox One. So if you can sell that at $400 a pop, there's a possibility they may be able to recover some of the losses that they had to take when selling the Xbox One in order to get it out to the market, because people were so against it. So I'm hoping that Microsoft comes out with some type of news where maybe they drop the Xbox One terabyte and 500 gigabyte in November or October, so fans can pick it up for the holiday rush. R2C25 says Halo is story focused. Halo is very story focused. It is, but most people play it. You'd be surprised. Most people play it for the multiplayer. And when people pick up Halo, at least 60% of the time, or 65% of the time, they talk about the multiplayer. It's not very often that you hear people talking about the single player campaign, because if it was 100% single player campaign focused, that game wouldn't have over 5 million sales and have still to this day the highest player count of people on any multiplayer game currently. I think even, I don't know if it's even more than Call of Duty, but at least in the history of Halo. It has like I don't know, they broke some record or something like that recently where they had the highest player count in Halo 5 for multiplayer in, I don't know, a decade or something like that. So, it's really important that Microsoft is, they're out there doing what they're doing to appease the multiplayer fans and stuff like that. But they need to continue to focus on their single player campaigns. With Joseph Staten back and him back at the reins, I'm hoping that they could fix the story of Halo 5 and, get it back to where people understand what's happening and they're not confused by the story. I know a lot of people didn't like Locke. I liked Locke. I like Team Osiris. I would love to see them in their own game. I know a lot of people don't want them in Halo 5. I just think at some point what Microsoft is trying to do is either kill off or put Master Chief to rest. Master Chief isn't like Mario in a way, where Mario is just like a mascot. And Master Chief is a mascot, but not in the way Mario is. He's like a very 16-bit-ish, cartoonish character, and he's always going after Cooper and the princess. That's his story. But there's a real story behind Halo, and at some point, Master Chief has to take the armor off. And when he does that, who do you get to replace him to continue the franchise? Are you going to have Chief doing the same crap for 30 years? That's insane. He's been fighting the same fight for 30 years. You know what I'm saying? So I think they try to do something like what Metal Gear tried to do with Raiden. They try to bring Raiden in and kind of like ease him into that role in Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty, as Snake. Nobody liked Raiden. I didn't even like Raiden. I was disappointed through the whole entire game. I had to play as Raiden and didn't play as Snake. And eventually they brought Snake back. So I think they'll do the same thing. They'll bring Chief back. They'll put a focus on Chief. But at some point, like Snake, you have to end Chief's story. Doesn't mean Metal Gear has to end. You could always pick it up with a different character like Raiden, now that he's familiar and everybody knows who he is. But you can, if you can work with Locke more and work with Team Osiris more, then maybe they can take over Halo at some point. People will accept them as you get more depth to their story. Dizzy says Microsoft needs to release a Sunset Overdrive Go. That would be insane. Could you imagine walking down a road with your phone trying to dodge those, like, what are those things called? Those orange goop creatures? I don't know. I can't remember what they're called. Like, you're trying to avoid them. When you move to the left, you mess around and move into the street and get hit by a car. I don't think that would be a good idea for Sunset Overdrive. But it would be cool, though, if you were able to do something like that in a park, where like they had designated, like your local park was the area where you could go. So if you have open fields and you can dodge stuff and you look around, you might have something coming at you, you move to the right and it runs past you. I mean, that's heavy AR. I don't even know if phones can handle that. At least the Pokemon, where you click on them, they just kind of like there. You know what I'm saying? They kind of just sit there. They don't really do much but, hop around and stuff like that. But they don't really do much besides that. So I find that really, really funny and really cool. Yeah, I agree. R2C225 says Sony is deep in Insomniac with that Spider-Man contract. Yeah, and my understanding is that contract came about because of the relationship with the movie. And, Sony, I think, allowing the Marvel Cinematic Universe to use the Spider-Man from the Sony contract, and in turn, Marvel allows Sony to use the comic book version of Spider-Man in their game, and that's where the exclusivity comes from. Weird, but I guess a cool deal for them. I'm kind of disappointed in the fact that Microsoft doesn't have these type of relationships with the comic book community. They had PS3 had Injustice on PlayStation 3 only. And that wasn't on Xbox. And I was like upset about that. I was really upset about that. I can't tell you how upset I was about that at the time. And then you turn around, they had DC Universe. Microsoft didn't have it. I'm like, what the hell? Now you're talking about Spider-Man. And DC Universe finally is out on Xbox, but it's like I tried playing it, I can't. It's just too outdated to me, in my opinion. So I really can't get into the game the way I would like to get into the game. And it would be cool if they were able to port DC Universe to the Xbox One, so that way we could play it for those of us who haven't played it yet and get an understanding of what's happening in DC Universe 2. I mean, DC, not Universe, I'm sorry, Injustice 2. It's upsetting that Sony gets these games like Kingdom Hearts 2.5 and, and I get it. They're funding them. I get it. Microsoft needs to step up and do it, because there's a lot of us who are Xbox gamers that have PlayStation and PlayStation 2. We played those games. It's not like, oh my God, we've always been with Xbox. A lot of us have been multi-console owners. That's just the facts. And I would love to play a Kingdom Hearts 2.5. I would love to play the reboot of Final Fantasy 10 remastered, and they got 12 coming out. I've never even played Final Fantasy 12. I never played Final Fantasy 12, and I played damn near every Final Fantasy. So it would have been great to play that, But now you're saying I had to get a PS4 for it. I'm going to wait till the Neo come out and see how much that costs, because that's my plan. But it's not something that I'm jumping the gun on, but it's disappointing that a lot of those titles aren't coming to the Xbox platform, and they're completely ignoring the fan base because they believe that we wouldn't play those games. Even though it's a niche crowd, there's people here that will play those games. I just think that with Type 0, that was just a terrible idea. It was a Vita game graphically. Nobody was impressed by it. It was an older title, so nobody really picked up the game. But I'm glad that they're thinking about porting Final Fantasy 13 via BC to the Xbox One. And my understanding is that they're releasing it right now in China. So I would expect it to eventually hit the States. And I think that would be great. Yeah, definitely. iDizzy says it's odd because Microsoft has great relationships with entities like the NFL, Disney, and such. Microsoft, they do very well stateside, and they do very well UK side. I watched the event the other day where they showed off HoloLens with the PGA, and I was blown away by what they were showing. I was like, holy smokes, this is incredible. If it looks like this on the HoloLens, if what you see on TV is what you get with the HoloLens, it looks absolutely incredible. Like, it really looked amazing. And could you imagine playing sports like that, or playing a fighting game, full blow screen right in front of you? Like, imagine playing Street Fighter 5, or some Street Fighter 5, excuse me, like Street Fighter 6, right in front of you in your living room. Not even on TV, but in your living room, a full-size grown Ryu right in front of you. How could you handle that? That would be insane. I love the idea of AR. I really do. I play VR. VR is cool. It's cool. It's not my cup of tea, but it's cool. AR to me just looks fascinating. It really does. Having things happen to you full-blown, real life, like right in your living room, was insane. All right, so that's it for the show, man. Any more questions before I head out? We will make the countdown about a minute if I get a question within the next minute. But I really want to thank everybody who stopped it, man. I really appreciate it. I'm sorry about the whole situation earlier where I kind of had to take a deep breath on the sad situation that happened with Dallas and the man in Baton Rouge and the other guy. I don't remember where his location was at and stuff like that. I'm not a fan of senseless killing. I have a lot of friends and people that I love that are of different races and cultures and things like that. And my team is very diverse, and I love those guys. And I'm not going to sit up here and say I don't see color, because that would be negating the uniqueness of each individual. I don't like when people say that. If you say that, don't say that. Do not say that, because it's super important that people are recognized for who they are as an individual, not just another statistic, another person in the United States. Everybody's background and ethnicity is important to who they are as a person, but it's the person that's important, not what they look like or where they come from. So for me, it's very special, and I don't know why we can't find a common ground in this. We clearly have issues with both I don't want to get into it. I'm not gonna get into it. But at the end of the day, man, I want to thank everybody who stopped in on the show. And if you want to talk to me about it, hit me up on my Twitter channel, Kal-El, at Lynn Rules the World. I'm sorry, not Kal-El. It's at Lynn Rules DA World on Twitter. That's my private account and stuff like that. If you want to chat with me about anything that's happened the past week politically, I really don't usually get into politics because politics, religion, and race are hot topic issues which can ruin friendships. And I cherish every friendship that I have. So I try not to get into those things because those are personal views and people tend to stick to their beliefs and their personal views. And I really don't care about a person's personal views. I only care about how that person treats me and how that person is as a person. And that's really what's most important. But anyway, off that, I want to thank everybody for stopping in to Super Podshots. I'll be back on Friday with the Inner Circle podcast. And then again, next week, we will have another multiverse. I will be releasing our interview with I'm sorry, give me one second. I want to make sure I say their name correctly because their name is too awesome to say it any other way. We have an interview with super awesome hyper dimensional mega team for their game Rise and Shine, which is published by Adult Swim Games, and that will be releasing on Saturday. I wasn't able to get to it this week, but I'll be releasing it on Saturday. You guys get an opportunity to check that out on the red carpet. That's it. I'll let you guys later. I'm your host, KRS Kal-El, the last son on planet Xbox, and I'm off this planet. Peace.